Akkam jirtu barattoota nagaa keessanii barattoota barnoota history kutaa 12ffaa boqonnaa tokko waa'ee development of capitalism, the industrial revolution fi nationalism jedhan gaaffilee baay'ee murteessoo fi qormaata kamirrattiyyuu dhufuu danda'an waliin hojjennee jirra. Har'a immoo viidiyoo kana keessatti waa'ee Unification of Italy, Unification of Germany, the American Civil War fi the Eastern Question kan jedhaniin bifa hubannoodhaaf isiniif ta'uuf gaaffii baay'ee babbareedoo fi isin si'eessuu danda'an qabadhee dhiyaadheera. GO lesson 17 TUB waliin gaaffii tokko hojjechuun gaaffii 4 hojjechuu ta'a. Kanaafuu GO lesson 17 TUB ciichee milkoomina barnoota keessaniidhaaf hojjechaa jiru cina dhaabbachuudhaaf subscribe, share, like fi comment gochuu hin dagatinaan affeerraa keenya yeroo maraati. እንደምናችሁ ተማሪዎች ሰላም ናችሁ? ተማሪዎች ባለፈው ክፍለ ጊዜያችን ውስጥ የ12ኛን ሂስትሪ ምዕራፍ 1 ስለ ዲቨሎፕመንት ኦፍ ካፒታሊዝም፣ ስለ ኢንዱስትሪያል ሪቮሉሽን እና ስለ ናሽናሊዝም በጥያቄ መልክ የተማማርን መሆኑ ይታወሳል። ዛሬ ደግሞ ቻፕተር 1ን ለማገባደድ ስለ ዩኒፊኬሽን ኦፍ ኢታሊ፣ ዩኒፊኬሽን ኦፍ ጀርመኒ እና አሜሪካን ሲቪል ዋር እንዲሁም ኢስተርን ኩዌስን የሚሉ ርዕሶችን በጥያቄ መልክ ሪቫይዝ በማድረግ ይህንን ምዕራፍ የምንዘጋው ይሆናል። እያንዳንዱ ሳብቶፒክ አምስት ጥያቄዎችን ይዞ ቀርቧል። ለዚህ ባለፈ ክፍለ ጊዜ 15 ጥያቄዎችን ሰርተናል። ዛሬ ደግሞ 20 ጥያቄን እንሰራለን። ከጂኦ ሌሰን 17 ቲዩብ ጋር አንድ ጥያቄ መስራት ማለት 4 ጥያቄን መመለስ መቻል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ከጂኦ ሌሰን 17 ቲዩብ ጋር ከሆናችሁ ለስኬታችሁ ቅርብ ናችሁ። ጂኦ ሌሰን 17 ቲዩብን ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ ይሁኑና ከኛ ጋር ያጥኑ ስንል የሁል ጊዜ ግብዣችን ነው። Question number 1. Who is known as the father of Italian unification? A. Giuseppe Garibaldi. B. Camillo di Cavour. C. Victor Emmanuel II. D. Mazzini. Question number 2. Which revolutionary leader led the red shirt to southern Italy? A. Giuseppe Garibaldi. B. Camillo Cavour. C. Victor Emmanuel II. D. Napoleon III. Garibaldi was not the political strategist, but he was a revolutionary leader who contributed to military. So, A is not the answer. Victor Emmanuel II was the king of Sardinia, Piedmont, and later he unified Italy, but Cavour was the main planner. So, C is not also the answer. Mazzini inspired nationalist ideas, but he lacked political and military power. He was not known as the father of Italy's unification. Camillo di Cavour, the prime minister of Sardinia Piedmont, who used a diplomacy and alliances to unify Italy. He was known as the father of Italy's unification. So, B is the correct answer. Cavour used a diplomacy, not military campaigns in South, so is not the answer for question number 2. Again, Victor Emmanuel II was the king. He did not personally lead campaigns. Napoleon III was the French emperor, helped Cavour, but he was not Italian revolutionary. Giuseppe Garibaldi was the revolutionary leader who led the voluntary force, which is known as Red Shirt, to the southern Italy. A is the correct answer. Question number 3. Which kingdom was central to the unification of Italy? Wow. A. Kingdom of Naples. B. Sardinia Piedmont. C. Papal States. D. Kingdom of Lombardy. Question number 4. Which foreign power did cover ally with to fight Austria? A. Germany. B. France. C. Britain. D. Russia. Okay. Naples conquered by Garibaldi later on. And also, Papal states are resisted the unification until 1870s. Lombardy initially controlled Austria, not central to the unification of strategy. The Kingdom of Sardinia-Piedmont acted as the leading state politically, militarily, and also diplomatically. As a result, Sardinia-Piedmont Kingdom was central to the unification of Italy. B is the correct answer. Cover allies with France to fight Austria. Cover did not unify with Germany, but Germany was unified later under Bismarck, not with Cover. Britain provided a diplomatic support, but not a direct alliance in the war. Russia had no role in Italy's unification. As a result, Cover made a secret alliance with Napoleon III of France to drive Austria out of the northern Italy. B is the correct answer. Question number 5. In what year was Italy officially unified under Victor Emmanuel II? A. In 1848. B. In 1861. C. In 1870. D. In 1859. Question number 6. Who is considered as the architect of German unification? A. Otto von Bismarck. B. William I. C. Napoleon III. D. Karl Marx. In 1948, revolutionary uprisings, but was failed to unify Italy. So, Italy was not unified in 1848. In 1870, Papal States added final unification with Rome, but Italy was officially united earlier of 1870 during 1861. D. 1859 was the era of the Second Italian War of Independence, so it was a partial gain only. But Victor Emmanuel II became the first king of unified Italy in 1861. So, Italy was officially unified under Victor Emmanuel II in 1861. B is the correct answer. Otto von Bismarck, the Prime Minister of Prussia, was considered as the architect of Germany unification. William I, who was the King of Prussia, supported Bismarck but not the strategist. So B is not the answer. Napoleon III was the French emperor who was the opponent in wars affecting German unification. He was not architect. Karl Marx was the socialist theorist who is unrelated to the unification of Germany. But Bismarck, who was the prime minister of Prussia, used diplomacy and also blade and iron to unify Germany. A is the correct answer. Question number 7. Which strategy did Bismarck primarily use to unify Germany? A. Diplomacy, war, and alliance. B. Economic sanctions only. C. Cultural nationalism. D. Religious reforms. Question number 8. Which war directly led to the final unification of Germany in 1871? A. Austro-Prussian War. B. Franco-Prussian War. C. Napoleonic Wars. D. 30 Years' War. Economic sanctions was the minor role, not central strategy, while cultural nationalism helped identity, but not the main unification tool. Again, the religious reform was irrelevant to the political unification, but Bismarck skillfully used wars with Denmark, Austria, and France. Again, he was used that of alliances to unify German states. So, diplomacy, war, and alliance were the strategy used by Bismarck to unify Germany. Austro-Prussian War unified northern states, not used for the final unification of Germany. Napoleonic Wars was held during the early 19th century that weakened Germany but did not unify it. Germany ni dadhabse malee akka isheen gamtoomtu hin taasisne. Napoleonic Wars jaarraa 19ffaa keessa kan deemsifame jechuudha. Okay? 30 Years' War. The 17th century. This was unrelated to the issue. But victory over France in 1870 to 1871 encouraged southern German states to join Prussia. So, Franco-Prussian War was directly led to the final unification of Germany in 1871. B is the correct answer. Question number 9. When was the German Empire officially proclaimed? A. In 1848. B. In 1866. C. In 1871. D. In 1859. During 1848, the revolution was failed. Again, during the 1866, Austro-Prussian War was there. During this, Northern unification was held only. 1859 is irrelevant to Germany, so during 1871, German Empire was officially proclaimed. German Empire was declared in the Hall of Mirrors, Versailles, after the Franco-Prussian War. C is the correct answer. Question number 10. What title did William First take after German unification? A. Chancellor. B. Emperor or Kaiser. C. President. D. Prime Minister. Chancellor is Bismarck's title, not the king's. German Empire had a monarch, not president. So C is not the answer. Prussia's minister is known with the prime minister, not ruler of unified Germany. So D is not the answer. As a result, William First became the first Kaiser of the unified Germany Empire. B is the correct answer. Question number 11. When did the American Civil War begin? A. In 1850. B. In 1861. C. In 1865. D. In 1848. The Compromise of 1850 was a political tension, but not war yet. 1865 is the end of the war, not the beginning of the war, while 1840 was the early period, so it is unrelated. The war began in 1861 when the Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina. So the war began in 1861 when the Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina. B is the correct answer. The American Civil War began in 1861. Question number 12. What was the main cause of the American Civil War? Sababni jalqabbii waraana Civil Warii Ameerikaa maali? A. Disagreements over foreign trade. B. Disputes over slavery. C. Taxation policies. D. Territorial disputes with Mexico. Question number 13. Who was the president of the United States during the Civil War? Yeroo waraana walwaliinii Ameerikaa pirezidaantii kan ture eenyudha? A. Jefferson Davis. B. Abraham Lincoln. C. Ulysses Grant. D. Andrew Johnson. Trade was the secondary issue for the Civil War in America, so not the main cause. Taxation is not the central to the conflict of American Civil War. Mexico is related to earlier wars. Disputes over slavery is the main cause of American Civil War. So B is the correct answer. Southern states supported slavery while northern states opposed its exposition. This becomes the major cause of civil war in America. Question number 13. Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States, not the president of Unionists. Ulysses Grant was the Union general and later became the president. Andrew Johnson was became the president after Lincoln's assassination. Abraham Lincoln ajjeefamuu isaatiin hordofee Andrew Johnson tu gara pirezidaantummaatti dhufe. So diin deebiin ta'u. Abraham Lincoln led the Union, opposed the expansion of slavery, preserved the United States. Question number 14. Which battle is considered as the turning point of the Civil War? A. Battle of Fort Sumter. B. Battle of Gettysburg. C. Battle of Bull Run. D. Battle of Antietam. Fort Sumter was the war's start battle, not turning point. Bull Run was early Confederate victory that boosted Southern morale. Antietam was bloodiest single day, which is important but not final turning point. But Union victory in 1863 marked the turning point against the Confederacy at the Battle of Gettysburg. Barattoota, iddoo viidiyoon kun hojjechaa jiru akka irra deddeebitanii dubbistan dhaamsa kun isiniif dabarsa. So, B is the correct answer. The Battle of Gettysburg was considered as the turning point of the Civil War. Question number 15. What was a major result of the American Civil War? Bu'aan American Civil War irraa galmeeffame maalinni? A. Expansion of slavery. B. Preservation of the Union. C. Independence of Southern states. D. Annexation of Canada. Slavery was abolished, not expanded. So A is not the answer. Confederacy was defeated. As a result, no independence. C is not the answer. Canada is related to the Civil War, and the war ended the Confederacy and maintained a single United States because the war was fought not only over slavery but also over the very survival of the United States at one nation. Lolli waliinii Ameerikaa irratti gaggeeffame dhimma mirga garbummaadhaaf qofaa hin turre. Ameerikaa tokkummoofte qabaachuudha ture jechuudha. Kanaaf tokkummaan Ameerikaa kan itti utubamedha. Kun immoo bu'aa American Civil War'iti. B is the correct answer. Question number 16. What does the term Eastern question mainly refer to? Eastern question jechuun maal jechuudha? Kitaaba keessan irraa tokko tuqaan torba Eastern question jedha. A. The rise of Japan as a world power. B. The decline of the Ottoman Empire and its impact on Europe. C. The colonization of Asia by European powers. D. The spread of Buddhism into West. Question number 17. Which European power was most interested in controlling the Strait, Bosporus, and Dardanelles? A. Austria. B. Russia. C. France. D. Prussia. Daandii Bosporus fi Dardanelles jedhamu to'achuudhaaf fedhii kan qabu ture eenyudhaadha. The Meiji era was a period in Japan's history marked by rapid modernization, industrialization, and transformation from a feudal society into a modern world power. It began when Emperor Meiji came to the throne in 1868, following the fall of the Tokugawa shogunate. Colonization of Asia was imperialism, not Eastern question. Buddhism spread is a cultural or religious, is not Eastern question. So, Eastern question refers to the political and diplomatic issues which are arising from the decline of the Ottoman Empire in the 18th up to 19th centuries and how European powers are responded. So, B is the correct answer. The decline of the Ottoman Empire and its impact on Europe is said to be Eastern question. For question number 70, Austria wanted Balkan influence, not mainly the Straits, while France was interested in the Levant, not primarily the Straits. Prussia focused on German unification, not on Ottoman decline. So, Russia sought warm water ports and access to the Mediterranean through the Turkish Straits. Russia was most interested in controlling the sea route on the way of Turkish, which is known as Bosporus and Dardanelles. B is the correct answer. Question number 18. Which war is directly linked to the Eastern question? Kallattiidhaan waraanni Eastern questionii wajjin wal qabatu kami? A. The Crimean War of 1853 to 1856. B. The Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871. C. the American Civil War of 1861 up to 1865. D. The 7 Years' War of 1756 to 1763. Question number 19. Which region was most affected by the Eastern Question? A. Scandinavia. B. Balkans. C. North America. D. South America. Here, Franco-Prussian War was held during the German unification, not for the Ottoman issue. American Civil War was held due to the slavery and union, not related to the Eastern Question. 7 Years' War was a global conflict that predates Eastern Questions. But the Crimean War was fought over Ottoman decline, Russian expansion, and European balance of power. So, A is the correct answer. Question number 19. For question number 19, Scandinavia was not involved, while the Americas, South America and North America, are outside of the Ottoman European conflict. So, the Balkans were the main area of conflict as nationalist movement clashed with Ottoman decline and the great power interests. So, Balkan region was most affected by the Eastern questions. B is the correct answer. Question number 20. Which of the following best explains why the Eastern questions was an European problem? A. Because all European states were allies of the Ottomans. B. Because the decline of the Ottoman Empire threatened the balance of powers. C. Because it led to colonization of the America. D. Because it caused the rise of Napoleon. Not all Europeans were Ottoman allies. Most just wanted to prevent domination. The Americas, either north or south, are unrelated to the issue. Napoleon rose much earlier during the 1790s to 1850s. So, the Ottoman decline raised fears of power imbalance if one state, example Russia, took advantage, so all great powers got involved as a result. B is the correct answer. Chaanalii keessan Geo Lesson 17 Tube waan daawwattaniif galatooma. Geo Lesson 17 Tube chaanaalachuun sila gobanyaachuu አመሰግናለሁ. Geo Lesson 17 Tube chaanaalii milkoomina egeree dhalootaaf dhimmu